I'm Suzanne Sabilla. I'm the owner of Sabilla and Associates, which is the premier leadership and employee development company. Overcome obstacles, reframe your reality, love life, and have growth goals. Change and shift your energy. Pivot.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Suzanne Sabilla, your host of Pivot Now, where we bring on interesting, exciting, and dynamic guests who will share with us their tips, tricks, and life and business hacks to help you pivot in your life. I am so excited to bring this guest on our show. You're going to absolutely love her. So you got to listen up, you got to watch us all the way to the end. So let me tell you a little bit about her. She's a success coach and a leadership consultant, as well as a speaker and the CEO of Kinetik Edge. How great is that? She's so fabulous. She has over 20 years experience working in corporate America as leadership and development coach. And that's what she does now. She works with companies to help them in their leadership development area. Welcome to our show, Kristie Stocker. Welcome. Woo! Let's bring it on, Kristie. Let's bring it on.
Wow. Woohoo. What?
Love it. Woo!
That is like the best intro I've ever had ever. Like, that is amazing. I love the energy.
Yeah, I love it too. We got to bring the energy here, right?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and so I love what the topic is for today, finding your purpose. So tell us more about that. How does one go about finding one's purpose?
Well, Suzanne, I am so glad that we're talking about this because I know so many people out there, hopefully not here, your audience, but there's so many people out there that hear finding your purpose and they just think it's this like fuzzy, woo-woo type of thing. But as I found, there are so many people that do not align and connect to what really lights them up, what really drives them, what really puts them on fire for a dream. And so it's so important that it's one of the very first things that I teach my clients in my leadership programs is finding your purpose. Because I talk about leadership development, making you all into amazing entrepreneurs and corporate leaders. But finding your purpose, what really drives you, your real big center, what lights you up is so important. And when you do find that, you can find it, but then you have to align to it. When you align to it, you actually live it. Those are those people that you see running around all happy and, carefree and nothing goes wrong and all positive. That's exactly how you create that type of life. So it is so important. Like I said, it's one of the first things that I always teach. So I'm really glad to kind of a little passionate about helping people find their purpose because it is so, so crucial to your success.
So how do you go about doing that? It's great to find your purpose, but how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of people ask me that because especially people who have been in their careers maybe 20, 30 years, something like that, maybe even a little bit less. Sometimes it's people just creating their path in their career. Maybe they're in their 20s, right? But a lot of the people that have been in corporate America or in business for quite a while, they get to a point where they're like, I don't know if I'm really pursuing what I really want out of life. So in order to actually find it, there's an entire framework that I do with my clients. And we don't have enough time to go over the entire framework, but the very first thing that I'll say is, really find what really is passionate to you. And you have to be real with yourself when you do this. You can't BS yourself, right? Because a lot of people, some of my clients have been in IT, but they want to be a coach, or they are in engineering, but they want to be a photographer. These are completely different industries, Suzanne, and you have to be real with yourself and say, look, if that really is what lights you up, if that really is your purpose, if you really want to be a photographer or you want to be a veterinarian or whatever it is, first of all, you have to be real with yourself and figure out that passion that lights you up. One thing that I tell my clients is, what would you do every single day, even if you weren't paid for it? right?
That's
So
a good one. I love that question. Very
yeah,
good. Yeah, excellent. Love
yeah,
it.
absolutely. So that's one way to connect and find your purpose. And then after that, I mean, there's like a whole other way to go through it. Maybe we'll go through it here in this session, but at least first be real with yourself, and second, finding that thing that lights you up, even if you didn't get paid for it.
I think that is so true because I see that now with my son, right? He's a high schooler. He's 16 years old. He's like, I don't know what I want to do, right? I don't know what I want to do in life, like so many high schoolers, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
so many follow a certain path. They're like, oh, I'm going to get into STEM or I'm going to get into programming because that makes money, right? And they go for the money, and then they find out later on, like they're in their 30s or 40s, and they're like, no, this isn't really what I thought it was going to be. And I really don't like this, right? I really don't like the people I work with, right? I really don't like the job. And, I always wanted to be a photographer, or I always wanted to be in theater, or I always wanted to be, something in creative arts. But my parents like said no, or I was like going for the money, right?
Yeah.
To really find what your passion is, what it is that lights you up, I think is so important. It's like, how do you want to live your life, right? How do you want to live your life?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, lifestyle is the most important. In fact, it's interesting that you bring up your son, Suzanne, because I just spoke at a conference. I specialize in working with accounting and tech professionals in leadership. And I was a closing keynote speaker for the National Leadership Conference. And at one of the social gatherings, one of the college students came up to me and said, "Hey, Kristie, I'm right in the middle of trying to figure out where I want to go with my career path. Should I go this way or that way with it, right? Should I go into private accounting or public accounting?" And I looked at her and I said, it's actually the lifestyle that's more important,
Mm,
because in one way or another, one might be slower and less deadlines, less pressure, which means you might have more time to spend with your family and friends as you go through your career. Or another one might be, high pressure, lots of things going on, things thrown at you, projects everywhere, and you might thrive in that environment. But what I would tell them is saying lifestyle's most important. Figure out the lifestyle that you want, right? Do you want to
mhm.
travel a lot? Do you want to see your family a lot? Do you want to have a lot of free time? Or do you thrive in the high achievement type of environment? And pick the lifestyle first, and then the money will come. Just like you said, for any high school student, including your son, lifestyle first, then money will come. Because if you're passionate and you've aligned with your purpose, you will be able to make a living and find money in anything. I mean, there's millionaires playing video games right now, right?
Exactly,
People pay
exactly.
them money to play video games. So
Right.
if that's what you love, you can make money at it.
Exactly, exactly. I love that again because it really focuses on what is the lifestyle that you want. And I would add to that too, what is your personality style, if you will? Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're more a slower paced, maybe a high tech type, fast paced company is not going to be a fit, right?
Right.
So, or if you're a fast paced type person where you're like, yeah, let's just go, 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 maybe more of a startup type company would be more of a fit, right? So it's your
Exactly.
personality style also is something to consider along with the lifestyle, which I
Yeah.
really like that talked about that as well. So
Yeah.
I want to focus in on, because a lot of times, especially right now in our society and what's going on in the world, we're dealing with a lot of adversity. And so how do you manage through that? How do you navigate through adversity? How do you pivot through adversity?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I just had the conference that I just finished. I just had one of the students message me on LinkedIn and say almost that near exact question, Suzanne, is I'm trying to keep more of a positive outlook on things and not let failures and adversity and challenges get to me as much. And I will tell you the same exact advice that I gave her just yesterday. And I said, I'm a recovering perfectionist, right? I don't
Mm.
know how many of you out there in the audience, virtually raise your hand, right? A
A lot of
perfect,
us are, yeah.
right? I mean, we're all high achievers. We got high
Right.
achievers and high performers out there.
Yep.
You're at a certain success rate for a reason. You got there for a reason. And the issue that I kept having is that I always saw failure as the opposite of success. Well, technically,
Mm.
quitting is the opposite of success, because you need to be able to fail to understand what you need to do next so you can succeed. I mean, that's
Mhm.
just how it works. So I had to understand that failure was not the end. If I used it as a learning experience, then you technically never fail. You just have learning experiences, right? That's exactly what I've always told my clients. So that is what I told the student. So moving forward, the more that you see adversity hit you, and the more that you can shorten the gap of, oh my gosh, this is horrible. Why is this happening to me? I just can't get through this. Is if you can shorten the gap to saying, oh, why is this happening, to, okay, how can I work with this? What is the learning that I have to get from this? How can I turn this around? Because the more that you get into action mode of how to work around that situation, or to even change your mindset, your tolerance for adversity will get even better, right? Because the people who are so afraid of failure or want to be perfect all the time, the more that you, quote unquote, embrace the dumpster fires, as I said in my keynote, the more you embrace the dumpster fires, the more you can learn from them, and the more that you'll get excited to say, okay, this is really bad, but what can I learn from this so it doesn't happen again, or I minimize the chance of it happening again? So it's a real, and I'll be honest with you, Suzanne, it took me some years to get through this. It's not like it's overnight and woohoo, everything's positive and fairy dust. But at the same time, when I have things hit the fan, you get your pity party, right? Get your pity party on, go below the line, but just don't stay there, and say, okay, now what do I need to do differently to either avoid this or make the situation better? Because when you understand what you can control when adversity hits, you can only control your thoughts, your decisions, your actions, your reactions. You can only control those things. So if you know that you're still in control of those things, then use that control. And that's exactly how I will get over adversity and say, well, there's nothing I can do that it rained on my parade. I can't change the rain, but maybe I can change the location of the parade or something else, right? So
I love it. Love it. Love it. This is like that's on fire. that's fire and gold, right? Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because it's so true. I mean, a lot of times we'll focus on, oh, the failure. And so I don't want to go again because, oh, I failed, and it's switching that around, like flipping the switch on that and having the mindset of seeing it as a learning or as a gift and an opportunity, right? What's the gift and the opportunity? A lot of times we don't see the gift or the opportunity or the learning when we're in it, right? We're just like, it's so much.
Yes.
If we can start to shift our mindset about it and start to see, okay, what's the learning in this? What is the gift? What is the opportunity in this? And start to shift our mindset towards it, it really does make a change, right? And then take action towards that too, instead of like sitting and wallowing or the self-pity, the victim mode, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely love what you just said. Absolutely.
It's true. And it's funny when you said wallowing in the pity, it made me think of something one of my mentors said. And he said, ain't nobody constructed a statue over people who threw pity parties. Right? They don't put statues of people who threw pity parties for themselves. So there you go.
So true. So true. Well, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to learn some tips and techniques and action items from you.
Nice.
Sounds good.
Hi, I'm Kelly Melissa Reinhart, host of Make Mental Health Matter. Join me on Mondays at 11 a.m. and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the Achieve TV network right here on E360 TV.
Welcome back. I'm Suzanne Sibylla, and we're here at Pivot Now with Kristie Stocker, and she's been talking to us all about, like, how do you deal with adversity? How do you deal with failures? And so we want to know from you, Kristie. We have this part of our show called 3, 2, 1, go. And so we want to hear 3 tips, 2 techniques, and 1 action item to pivot our lives forward.
Okay. All right. So let's see. 3 tips. Well, what I would say about pivoting your life forward, 3 tips, especially when it comes to your purpose. Remember that it can change, right? A lot of people think that once I figure out my purpose, that this is it, this is the only thing that I can do. I would say when you're thinking about pivoting, things can change, right? You get older, experiences happen, situations happen, relationships change, careers change, all sorts of things can happen. And so what I would say to you is one tip is embrace the change, because a lot of people feel that change is a 4-letter word. It's a bad word.
Uh-huh.
If we could change our mindset, my tip to you would be if we could change our mindset to say change can be a positive thing. What if something amazing happens because of the change? Then try and remember that change is not always a 4-letter word. It can be a really good word. Another tip that I would say is give yourself grace. Because when things are changing, when you, like you said, you were pivoting and you're trying to achieve certain things, or you're trying to get focused on a purpose or a business goal or whatever it is, give yourself grace. Because if you put too much pressure on yourself, God knows that there's probably a lot of pressure outside of these walls, right? There's people pressuring you. There's a lot of adversity, a lot of crazy things going out. Don't pressure yourself as well. Good pressure is one thing. That's how you become a high achiever. But if you put too much pressure on yourself to the point of burnout or mental distress, then you're probably going to fall apart, unfortunately, and you're not going to achieve what it is that you've originally went for. So what my other tip to you, to you and your listeners, would be to give yourself grace. Know when to kind of rest, know when to pull back, know when to say, you know what, I need help, right? Or I need to ask questions, or I need to reconsider this. Give yourself some grace, because there's a lot of people out there that will put their pressure on themselves so much that they burn themselves out. So obviously you want to avoid that. The third thing that I would say is your dreams and your goals are your own. And now, so here's what I mean by that. When you're pivoting and when you're changing and when you're making things happen and you're a high achiever and you're doing your corporate leadership ladder climb, or you're doing something new in your business, your dreams and your goals are your own. A lot of people might not understand what you're going for, what your dream is. They might say they do, but be careful of anybody trying to bring you down or compare your dream to others, because your dreams and your goals are your own. They're your dreams. You go for them. They're on your heart. They're in your spirit, in your soul. Be very careful of looking at somebody else's business or leadership journey and saying, well, I don't want to be CEO, or I don't want a $50 billion company like that person. The dreams and the goals are your own. So when you're pivoting and you're changing, understand to be careful of comparing your dreams to somebody else's, especially when others might not understand it and they try and bring you down. I mean, there's a story behind that. When I pivoted from leaving a 20-year career in corporate and then doing my business full time, I had a lot of people say, are you crazy? Like, this is a huge company. This is an awesome company. This is a secure company. Why would you leave it? And it was in the middle of 2020. We all know what happened there. So leave it. And then, right. So I just say that stick to your goals and dreams because they are your own, because some people won't understand it. So two techniques that I would give you, as far as all those things that I just said, is it's a really good thing to keep your dreams and goals in front of you at all times. Some people put a vision board, some people put it as something in their phone or whatever. But understanding where you're going, that's something that I tell all of my clients. Keep those in front of you at all times, because I've had clients that come back to me and say, Kristie, I'm not sure where I should go. Well, what do your dreams and goals say? And it's because they haven't looked at them enough that they get a little off path, right? Another technique that I use is surrounding myself with positive association as many times as possible. So your association is so important, Suzanne. That's why I'm glad we're connected, right? People, and I don't want to say always like-minded. Like-minded is good. However, it's really good to surround yourself with people that you respect. You can respect people who have different opinions, but surround yourself with good, positive people that you respect, because those people are going to bring you up. So as you're pivoting, as you're changing, I would highly recommend looking at your association and saying, okay, are these people that lift me up and support me, even if they don't understand exactly 100% what I do? Are these people that I could go to and ask questions of, or associate with, or brainstorm with, or whatever? The association is really, really important.
So true. So true.
So the one action item.
These are all like gold. I have to just give you that the fire and the hearts, because this is gold. These are gold nuggets, Kristie.
Good.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I am all about action items. So I'm glad that you do 3, 2, 1. So the one action item that I would absolutely recommend to all of your listeners, and this is something very easy, and I'm going to kind of stray a little bit into time management. This is a quick little secret that I do, because when you're pivoting, a lot of things are changing, right? Lots of changes, maybe some high pressure. You got to keep your head on straight, right? This is a little time management thing that I say, and I call it pink card productivity. And the reason I call it pink card, a quick, very fast story, is when I was in corporate, I was getting a little overwhelmed, and I said, you know what? I just need to write down the top things that I need to get done tomorrow. And so the only thing that I had in my desk were these pink index cards, and they were bright pink and they stuck out. And so I would bring a card out at the end of each day and say, okay, what do I need to focus on for the next day? And I literally, old school, Suzanne, would write all 5 goals. And I don't do stickies because they get lost, but bright pink, I would put all 5 and I would prioritize them. And so for the next day, what I would do is I would start with number 1, and I was not allowed to go to 2, 3, 4, or 5 until number 1 was finished. Even if 2, 3, 4, and 5 was easier. Number 1 might be the hardest thing on the list. So you get that done first, and then you move through the rest. If all you get is number 1, great. 2, 3, 4, 5, go to the next card. Number 2 is number 1, and etc. And you prioritize. It's the easiest way to get things done, because when you're pivoting and you're changing and lots of things are happening, you got to keep your head on straight so you can stay focused toward that dream and that goal that you're really going for. So that is an action item that I tell all of my clients. They love it. You don't have to have pink cards if you don't want to. You can use an app or whatever it is. But the big thing is that top 5 is visible to you every single day, and that you change them every single day so you can be as productive as possible.
I love it. Oh my gosh. And I've got pink cards right here. Pink cards, right? Yeah, there's your pink cards. I love it.
That was it.
That is so great. That is so great. And I love what you talked about too, in terms of the tips, right? Because when we go through change, a lot of times we're just so hard on ourselves, and we got to give ourselves grace. Right? We got to give ourselves grace. And then also being able to move forward on that, like really moving forward on it and taking those action steps, because it's the action that propels us to move forward, right? And gets us to where we want to go. And so having those goals and dreams and that vision in front of you is really important as well. Instead of just like putting it in a journal or writing it and then like forgetting about it, or doing what, a lot of people do, like, oh, it's the beginning of the year, so let's write out, what I want to do, right? And then you forget about it until the end of the year. It's like, no, not playing that game anymore, right? It's like really stay focused on what it is you want to be, achieve, and become. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So we're going to go for another commercial break, and then we'll come back.
Hi, this is Ken D. Foster, the host of the Voices of Courage show. Join us live on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific, where we help you see the unseeable, know the unknowable, and do the impossible on E360 TV.
Welcome back. We're here on Pivot Now and with Kristie Stocker, and she gave us her 3, 2, 1 tips and action items. So is there anything else you want to add? Is there any question that I didn't ask you that you want to answer?
Well, gosh, how much time do we have, Suzanne? I think when it comes to purpose and adversity, right, those are 2 huge topics. And honestly, if you can get aligned and with your purpose as quick as you possibly can, I would say when it comes to that, being bold, right? Because a lot of people will come to me and say, Kristie, I really want to pursue my purpose, but it's the money, or I got to think of my family, or, I'm afraid, or, whatever it is. I've got these obstacles that are in front of me. But I'm telling you right now, if you do align with your purpose, whatever it is, it could be what you're doing right now. That's awesome. Just keep going for it, because the more passionate that you are towards your purpose, people will see that. And they will want to do business with you. They will want to follow you. They'll want to be on your team. They'll want to buy your product or service, because the more that you're passionate, the more people will know, like, and trust you, right? I mean, that's a big thing about leadership.
Exactly.
And then I would say the second thing is about adversity. It's going to hit no matter what, right? I tend to be a person that looks on the positive side of things, but I'm also realistic. I know that stuff's going to hit the fan. I know that some things will fail, but I don't go into the situation thinking like that. So I know you and I have talked about the law of attraction, so I'll just briefly touch on this. And I said this in one of my keynotes. I said, if all you do is think of failure in whatever endeavor you're about to do, what do you think is going to happen? I'm going to fail. If when you go into something, all you do is think of success, your chances of succeeding in whatever it is that you want to do are going to increase. So when it comes to adversity, even if it's the large, it's a big proposal for a company, or, you're going for a promotion, or, you're launching a new product, whatever it is, and you've got a little, some things going on there, some hesitance, focus on the success. When you're talking about attracting things to you, like attracts like. So if you want to attract success, you have to put those thoughts in your head of success. What's it going to look like? How much money are you going to bring? Sit there and literally visualize what it is that you actually want and focus on that. Because if you focus on the success will find you. If you focus on failure, the failure will find you. So I would say the biggest takeaway is focus on what you want. Don't focus on what you don't want.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so true. Isn't that is so true, because I find that with a lot of my clients, right? They'll say, oh, when I talk about, okay, what is your vision for your life? Like, what is it that you want to do in your life? And they'll say, well, I know what I don't want. And they'll focus on all these things. Well, I don't want this. I don't want that. It's like, no. What is it that you want? Let's focus on what you want, because you want to attract that to your life.
Yes.
Not what you don't want, right? So that is so important. I love it. So important. Anything else you want to add?
I would say the last thing that I would add is be committed to action. I love that you do the 3, 2, 1 here, right? We talk about the action items. Be bold in that action every day. There's a book out there by Jeff Olson called The Slight Edge, and I recommend it to all of my clients. And I always say, hey, one step forward is one step forward. Taking those actions, no matter what they are, a small win is still a win. A big win is still a win. So moving forward, even if it's by little bitty steps, that is what I really try to hone in on with a lot of my clients. Like, just little bitty wins are still wins. It means that you're moving forward, you're creating that motion, and that motion will turn into momentum. So even if you're feeling a little stuck, reading something on your industry, calling a client, emailing them, whatever it is, putting that marketing out there, talking with an executive, whatever it is that you have out there, a small step is still a small step in the right direction. So even if you're just kind of feeling like things are going downhill, moving toward your dream or your goal, even with a small step, is still a win.
Fantastic. I love that. So how can we find you?
Well, you can find me. It's pretty easy. So you see my name. It's just KristieStocker.com. That's my website. And we are literally right in the middle of making it super robust. So stay tuned, like, keep going back to it, because we're going to have a blog and so much content up there. It's going to be amazing for anybody who's looking to be leadership ready. And I'm also on all the social media. So please connect with me on LinkedIn. It's under Kristie Stocker, my Instagram, my Facebook, all under Kristie Stocker. And if there are some listeners out there, Suzanne, if you don't mind, I will definitely offer them a strategy session. If they want to talk to me more about what I talked about today, I can definitely offer that to them. I'd be happy to give you the link, or they can just go to my website, whatever you prefer.
That would be great. That'd be great, because after our show, this is all recorded too. And so we'll have it on the Pivot Now TV part on E360. We'll have all your content information and how to get a hold of you as well. So we'll put that link in there as well.
Perfect.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate you being on our show. This was fabulous. You gave so many great tips. I'm telling you, that was like gold, right? We got the fire in the hearts. The fire in the hearts, Kristie.
Love that.
It so much. Thank you so much for being here. Fabulous.
Thanks,
And
Suzanne.
to our audience, we appreciate you so much. We're here live every Tuesday, 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Live life abundantly. Pivot now. Change and shift your energy. Pivot